Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Sorry, I have been away and busy for a long time, so no videos in a while that I've made. But finally today 4 o'clock came around and work's finished for the rest of the year, and I thought, well, I have to make some biltong. Biltong is cured meat, for those that you don't know, and that's the process today. So nothing for Linda repairs, but mainly Linda making biltong. And running you guys through my setup over here. Let me just flick the camera around. As you guys will see, this is a typical 80s style hi-fi cabinet that I gutted and turned it into my biltong cabinet, and using that to dry the meat in. So on top I have two computer fans. I've got a little control box, one for the fan, one for the light. Now most guys will tell you you don't need a light. As you can see, there's a little light bulb at the bottom, and yes, most of the time, I would say 90%, you don't need a light bulb for making biltong. But if it's humid inside or in the area where you make biltong, you like to just put a bit of heat on there, and the light just gives a bit of extra heat. That grill just came out of an old deep freezer. Added it in and basically just hang my biltong there. A couple of old newspapers just to soak up the fluids. And at the back I've got some, as you can see, holes cut with a grit, very fine mesh grit in there just to keep bugs out. And this lives in my garage, and hang it up there. And it's just sucking out the moisture, creating a bit of a draft from the holes in the back, coming up through in the top, and bit of an air ventilation going through. And I've just noticed that the bulb's blown, so I'll quickly fix that. And over here I've got some meat, sharp knife, and my goodie box. This has got all my spices and vinegar, and I'll run you guys through the process of how to make some yummy biltong. Alright, so the main important thing about cutting a piece of meat is to cut with the grain off. So if you cut it against the grain, it's steak. If you cut with the grain, it's biltong. So you will just inspect the meat and you can actually see the grain running, so we know this is lengthwise. So that's the way we're going to go. I don't cut my meat too deep or too thick, and that's a good thumb thickness. I would say 1.5 centimeters, and that's a good clean. As you can see, it's running with the grain and into a box. Good clean plastic box. Don't use stainless or metal, because that the taste of the metal goes into the meat. Obviously use the sharpest knife you can. This is my hunting knife, sword, New Zealand made, fantastic carbon steel, and perfect. That little piece put aside, and perfect. Go thicker than 1 centimeter, like this one over here. Still nothing wrong with it. It just takes a couple of days longer than the first one. As you can see, not much difference, but that is a beautiful piece of meat, nice piece of fat. This side not so much, but that is making a nice piece of biltong meat. This is a block of rump that I just bought at the local butcher. With work, I haven't had a chance to go out hunting. Hopefully that will change next week. Hopefully I'll go out and go and get a deer before Christmas. Very nice looking. It's not a big piece of meat. I rather make small batches more often than one large batch. Oh, that was not so great. Like I said, I rather have small batches and make continuously once a month. Cut up a block like this, then have massive amounts of a big, and no one really enjoys it. Turn this one into some chili bites. There's a nasty piece running through here. I'll just split this in two. Good stuff. So after you slice them all up, this is, maybe I should turn off this light. Yeah, that's better. Alright, so you end up with nice pieces of meat that is sliced with the grain. That's a nice looking piece there as well. So once that's all done, everything in your plastic container. There's 1,000 ways of creating biltong, and everyone's got their own way of doing things. Myself, this is my little box of specialty. Now the only vinegar I use is Safari Brown Spirit Vinegar. I've heard of people that use white vinegar, malt, different ones. I prefer this one. Just enough, because all you're gonna do is just basically soak your meat in there, and that is it. I'll just put this on the side at the moment, and I like to use a bit of Worcestershire sauce. Just adds to a bit of a different flavour, so I'll add that with it. Give it a bit of a stir so it's nicely mixed up, and then basically just clearing all the meat, because I don't soak them for hours in this mix. It's dunking out basically. So that's all I do with the meat. And then basically I want to make sure, let me just see if I put this light on again. Yeah, right, so see, I just cover the meat, make sure that it's properly soaked, all pieces, drip dry and into the tray. Next one. No longer than that. They just basically, this helps with the preservation of the meat, or that's what I've been taught. So I just soak them. Been doing this for a couple of years now. Like I said, there's a lot of people that make biltong their own way. I'm not saying this is the way I like it. Some people might not agree with what I add in my spices, but it works fine. Kids love it. As you can see, it's not too many pieces. I think this is about a couple of kgs. It wasn't a massive piece of meat. And this will probably last a week, if that long, once the meat's ready, or the biltong's ready to eat. About a week. If I'm lucky, I'll get 2 weeks out of it, and they'll be all gone. So no need to freeze anything or store it for long terms. It is just gone in a couple of days. Alright, so meat's all done, and this is basically just gonna go tip it out. I don't reuse it, I don't store it, it is gone. Right, now let me just place this here for a second. And, alright, just clean my tray. Right, the spices I use is, there we go, Safari Biltong seasoning. There we go. That's a good brand to use. It's pre-mixed with everything. You don't have to. It actually tells you even the mixing ratios on here, so you don't even have to think about it. And yep, oh, there's a new one as well in my Biltong box. So if you're just starting off with this, I would recommend buying kitchen scales, and then per kilogram of meat there's a certain amount of spices that you use. But if you've done it a couple of times, you basically let's see where I can get the focus the best. Man, this is so bloody hard. But anyway, so you do it according to kilograms. Let me have a read. 550 grams per 100 per kgs of meat. Between 50 and 100 grams per kg of meat. So I don't. All I'm doing is basically just work according to that, and then in my clean box I just put a layer down evenly, and then straight from here, don't dry them, don't wipe this vinegar mix off, don't leave it overnight. From here straight into the box and lay it down, so it basically just attaches to the meat on the underneath, and you just layer this without touching each other or overlapping, and you just layer it. Once your first layer is laid down, I just sprinkle over the meat again. I don't think it's too thick, because obviously you're going to stack on top of this again. So it's basically for both sides, this side of biltong and the next one that's going to go on top of this one. I try and get everything covered. It's not it's not a train smash if you don't get every little bit covered as well. But I would say that's for me and for my family, that's a good ratio of spices on meat. And then next one down again. Now this will go in the fridge overnight, and then tomorrow morning we'll hang it. And then, oh, that's what happens when you look on the camera and not on the spices. You can also just hand sprinkle it on and give it a bit of a rub on the fat side of the meat, and that's it. All that's going to happen now, that box is going to go into the fridge overnight, and then tomorrow morning I'll make some space in here. I don't cover it. This is just my beer fridge. Nothing else in here. A couple of beers and Biltong. So there we go. I don't cover them up. I've never had the need to. No one's in here. Close that up, and all I'm going to do now, I'll clean this tray here. Put those spices back because I haven't really used any of them, and then tomorrow morning I'll make the next video, and that will basically just, in between shots, what I did, I actually replaced the light as well. So, let me just, so there we go. I'll probably run the first day. It's been raining for 2 days over here, so I'll run first day just with the light and the fans, and then after that I just basically turn the light off and just air dry them. Like I said, I don't slice my biltong too thick because normally the family can't wait for that to be ready. Right, so we'll slip on some gloves just to be hygienic. There we go. And then all I do is just hook the meat in and hang them up. Just make sure you get it in nice and firmly so it doesn't slip out when you hang them up, because they'll be hanging for a couple of days depending on the thickness of your cut. Right, the first ones are hanging, first row. So what you want, you don't want the meat to touch either other pieces of biltong or the sides of the panel, the wood or anything. They must hang free of each other for proper air circulation between all of them. Right guys, as you can see, all my biltongs hanging, nothing's touching each other. It's always good to make sure. Obviously this will calm down. There we go. Door closed and fan on and light on. Now, like I said, the light will only be for the first day or two, just because it has been raining here for the last 2 days, so there's a bit of moisture in the air. After that, they will be switched off and just wind dry with the fans going on top. Not sure if you guys will be able to. Yeah, both fans are going. You can't really see them, but you can hear them. And that is as easy as how it is to make biltong. And I'll catch you guys on the next project.